Good morning and welcome to what are we in? Oh yeah, successcafe.tv. So it's not me getting old. It's just I do quite a bit. So yeah, good morning, Warren. How are you?
I do. I just want to warn you folks today that if you're worried about getting a flu, you can leave now. No, but I do have a bit of a cough.
Leave now, yeah.
I do have a bit of a cough, and please excuse me. I'll push mute when I can remember to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, otherwise I'm doing fantastically well, thank you.
Yeah, I don't. Before we get started, you had a good week last week, didn't you?
I did actually. Yeah. Thank you.
I had a good week, but nothing like yours. So,
and it's actually, and I don't know if that inspired you to have this headline, the title for today.
Yes, it did. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Okay. Well spotted. So the heading is "The Comeback Starts Here Now." Okay.
Yes.
And what does that mean? Well, as I say, the comeback starts here, and what it is, it relates to you and me and Warren investing in ourselves, okay, and doing something. Right? We all should get involved in things, regardless of whether it's something voluntarily or what we relate to is sport and business, okay, and the combination of both. But the investment we're talking about is having skin in the game. Now, some people will know what that is, some people won't, and that's fine because that's just the way things are. It's common in business and sport, finance and gambling and things like that, to have skin in the game. What it means is you're putting something into the project. Okay, and basically it incurs risk. Now, if it's money, you know that you can lose money. All right, we all lose money if we go gambling or if we invest in a business. It can always happen. Okay, and there's a possibility you may lose. But I would personally prefer to be committed and get stuck in rather than sticking my toe in and touching it from the outside. What do you reckon, Warren?
100%, because by sticking your toe in, you don't really get a good indication, do you? And you're just wasting your time. Yeah. So
that's right.
Getting skin in the game is it's the difference between the commitment to a cause. If you think of the chicken or the pig or the turkey, let's say the chicken or the turkey. The chicken will lay eggs and it's part of the game, but it doesn't have skin in the game. Whereas the turkey, come
fully committed.
Come Christmas or come Thanksgiving, is fully committed. Yeah, and this is what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's millions of examples of people having skin in the game. I suppose there's no better one that I can think of than when America was born.
Okay.
And you had these colonials. Does that be the right?
Colonials, yeah.
Yeah, they all signed a document, didn't they? I don't really know the full history, but there's about 50 of them or something. They all signed a document going against the King of England.
The Boston Tea Party, wasn't that?
That was one thing that happened. That was I still have a go about that. How dare they throw tea in the harbour? I don't know. Anyway, what a waste of tea.
But that was related to going against the king, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was all. No, but the way it happened, I probably would have been on their side. So look, most people shy away from risking their shirt or their reputation on something.
Yeah.
Because their thing is, well, what if it doesn't work? So what? I say, you've got to show a little bit of courage sometimes and get stuck in and see if something works. But you can't just do it for a week and then hope it's going to work.
In any case, who cares what other people think of you, really? And
well, most people do, though.
And I know it's easier said than done. Yeah, sure, of course. And even for me, sometimes it's sometimes when if I hear something said against me or adverse to what I have done or believe, I take some consideration into it, but I don't really care about what people think. I've learned how to not care about what people think about me, and I used to care a lot about what people thought about me. But and also it's people talk about reputation and these kind of things. I mean, what is your reputation in any case? You don't know what other people think about you. You really don't. You may think you know what people think about you, but you have no idea. And it's got nothing to do with you, right? So,
yeah, I mean, to be fair, and it's not a criticism of anyone or anything. It's just a matter of fact that, it doesn't matter how people care about you. They don't think about you all the time. They're not going to. So it's up. The only person it's up to is up to you and me.
They're thinking about
their own life out.
Yeah.
There's no entitlement here, and there comes a time when champions have to step up to the mark. All right. And the same for anyone else. There's a time that you commit money. There's a time that you commit the actual time, the minutes on the clock, and sweat equity. And there's lots of people start businesses and things like that and never make it. And full marks to them for trying. But I think what you have to do, you have to take a little bit more time and make sure it works for you, and keep tweaking and finding new ways of doing things so that it does end up working.
In some regards, based on what you just said there now, like sometimes you are successful and often you're not. And often we're not successful in ventures that we participate in or partake in or try out, however you want to look at it. And unfortunately, in today's modern society, especially for the younger generations, they get given medals and awards just for participating.
Yeah.
So when you reach the big bad world, as we used to be called to us all the time, the big bad world. And now you don't get medals for participation. You're lucky if you get a medal for winning, or any recognition for winning. People are scared to participate because they fear that uncertainty of not getting a reward for what they're doing, because they're so used to being rewarded. And I mean, it's hard enough for us our generation and beyond. We are programmed to be rewarded for when we do well. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also programmed to acknowledge the fact that sometimes we need to take responsibility for our actions, and when we don't do well with something, or if we have done something that's not right, honorable, legal, whatever, we know that we have to take responsibility for us. But many people, unfortunately, they don't see that. They've never experienced the values behind that. So it's difficult for them to step up and have skin in the game, because they have no idea. They've got no experiences to go by, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, thank God for pioneers, really.
Yeah.
But look, we all have to put equity into something. We all have to be a stakeholder, to be able to benefit and to be able to benefit others as well. It's not there's lots of things that we can do or try or be, and I think that I just think that some people must lead a real boring life. That's my opinion. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm wrong. It's just how I feel, But this comeback that I'm talking about is all about you. Most of us hide. Human beings, most of us hide. We're happy with just to go along with life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's cool. If that's what you want to do, that's cool.
If that's your game, then fine. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's so much more out there. Life can be so much more exciting, and people just won't take a chance. And I much prefer somebody who puts it all on the line.
Look, this is not if it comes across as a preach or a lecture or anything like that. This is not the intention, and I'm saying that because both Paul and I are in dialogue here, and we're talking about how people are in society. It is what it is. All right. You can't. You just need to look at the traits. You need to look at the patterns and see that it is what it is, what we're talking about. Whether you agree with us or not, that's up to you. But at the end of the day, Paul and I have learned from these mistakes as well. We've both had to put our hands up and say, okay, like for me, I haven't had my skin in the game. I've been not putting my toe in the game, but I haven't fully had my skin in the game until recently, and that's again, it's a lot of that has to do with fear. It's not easy. So, when you overcome the fear, when you realize that there's nothing to be scared of, and that if you fail, it's just an experience that you can learn from. And when you have people around you that can coach you and mentor you and work with you and will help you work through that, it just makes more sense. It's so much easier, And I think this is also why so many people are scared to confront these issues about going in on their own or starting up a side project for themselves, or doing something that's going to enrich their lives and their futures potentially, is because they feel that they're on their own and they don't have any experience to go by. So they feel that once they do experience the failure, which in many people's eyes is inevitable, all right, that they don't know what to do about that. Because they have no prior experience, and they don't want to go to the people that are close to them because they're going to look like a fool in their own eyes. So they just decide not to. But when you have people that have been through that experience already, that know what it feels like, what it looks like, all right, and can coach and mentor you through that, it kind of, in my eyes, that makes sense to at least explore the possibility for yourself to go and get skin in the game and do something for yourself. And if you have got started in any business for yourself, whatever that looks like, and you haven't fully got yourself in the game yet, I strongly advise that you do. Just take the plunge, go for it, man. Grab the bull by the horns and just do it, because the joy of that ride could be exponential. It could last for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
But if you get thrown off once, there's a horse riding adage. If you get thrown off, get straight back on again. And I've been thrown off a horse before, and the moment you get straight back on that horse knows who's in control. And this is a great example for life. If you get knocked down, you get straight back up again. And if you get knocked down again, you just keep getting back up until eventually the knockdowns don't hit you anymore. You learn how to sway. We've touched on this before. You learn how to bob and weave and go with the flow and take the punches and all that kind of stuff, because the more you get knocked down, and sometimes all it takes is one knockdown, and you learn your lesson, and you just it never happens again. And then that ride is a beautiful thing.
It was funny. I was laughing there because I was thinking about, in football, you got there's loads of people, but there's two different types of people that I used to look at. One was the person that went where angels fear to tread, and you just winced and went, "Oh my God!" when they go into tackles and things like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then there's the other one who makes a mistake, and then you watch this. It's called the loser's limp, where they pull up and they start. They hold the back of their hamstring
because they want sympathy,
as if they're injured, and and it's an absolute 100% lie.
Mm-hmm.
And you can know it is because they're running. If you do your hamstring, you're finished in that game, and probably for quite some time. And all of a sudden they're running again. People have forgotten how badly I did that, or why I didn't run for that, or
Precisely.
and it just makes me die watching it. So look,
you talk about that, and I want to give you a picture of what it actually does look like when you do your hamstring. And I was watching an England cricket game last week, South Africa versus England, and one of the English batsmen just running between the wicket did his hamstring in, okay, and that man was in pain. I mean, he was crying. Yeah. He was in so much pain.
Yeah,
you could see even the commentators commented, the tears in his eyes, because when you do your hamstring in, that's sometimes that sounds like a gunshot. It sounds like you hear a gunshot going off, kind of thing. Yeah. But it's a painful thing. It's not fun. And as a footballer, when they do that, I just laugh. I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
and we've all got to be careful that we don't deceive and lie to ourselves. The power of self-talk is tremendous. And if you're one of these people who wants to have skin in the game and get involved, then you really have to look at the power of what you're saying to yourself. All right, and pay attention to it and make sure it's only good stuff that's going in there. We talk ourselves out of so many good ideas. We start something, we spend money, or waste money as the case may be, invest time, we graft, and then for some reason we go missing in action. I don't know whether it was too difficult, it didn't work for us or whatever. And maybe it's just that you haven't done enough, and people freely abandon things, especially different projects and sport and business.
And then they blame the project, or they blame the sport, or they blame this, or they blame that.
And you can't blame anyone else.
Yeah.
But you have to take it on the chin, learn to develop this where you get disappointed, which is fine to get disappointed, but they let the disappointment take over. And you've got to fight back. And that's what we talk about when we're talking about having skin in the game. You hang out and stay there until you learn to do it. And how many times have you seen sports people that haven't looked that good, and they're on television, like maybe an athlete or something, and you think, well, they're not very good, and then later on they become world champion.
Yeah.
I can name a few in the British camp, that have done that, and and because they learn, and then they adapt, and they get some coaching, and there's other bits and pieces, and they start saying the right things to themselves rather than having a go at themselves.
Oh yes. Well, I'll give you a classic example. If I look at the Springbok rugby team, so these guys have been in camp together for months on end, okay? Because they've been playing in different tournaments back to back. They played against the British and Irish Lions. Then they traveled to Australia and they played in the rugby championships. Then from Australia, they had a short break back at home, and then they flew straight out to the UK, because now they're on the end of year tour. Okay, so they've been in camp for a long time. Now there's two players that are part of that team, that squad, that the first one guy, he was considered too short to be in this position. Okay. But now he's been under coaching and mentoring and guidance for months. Now when you look at him play, he's adapted his game to his height for that, because he played sevens rugby before. Now he plays 15-a-side rugby. He's a very good player. He's versatile. He knows how he's developed a specialist skill within the 15-a-side game based on his size. Now he would never have got that if he had just gone into the squad, played one or two games, and then was kicked out. People saw the potential. They saw that something was in him that they could use, that could be of benefit to the team, and they coached him and mentored him and so forth. And this is what you want to also find yourself within. No matter where you go to in life, you want to be around an environment where people are willing to take time to coach and mentor you and guide you. Because if you're just left on your own, to your own devices, then the chances of you succeeding are very slim. Yeah. And there was another play, but I'm not going to get to that. But it's just, it's from a sporting perspective. I know it's not business, but it is a business really at the end of the day. I mean, these are professional athletes. Okay. They get paid money for entertaining on the rugby field. So they have to make sure that they perform at the top, at the best. They are the number one team in the world. They're the world champions. So they have to perform. And this is what you want to find yourself in. In order to, if you're going to put your skin in the game, make sure you're in that environment, or as close to that as possible.
Here's a question for you. Who do you think is more committed, Usain Bolt or Eddie the Eagle?
Ooh, it's a good question, that.
You wouldn't be able to answer it, obviously. I mean, no, you would. But think about it. Usain Bolt, brilliant, fantastic. Okay, we don't need to speak about him really, but Eddie the Eagle had everything against him.
Yeah, everything. True.
Everything against him. The British Olympic Association for skiing, or whatever it is, they were trying to put him off, trying to what's the word? make sure that he couldn't make it and things like that. They kept move the records, move the qualifying.
What a shame.
And in the end, who was the champion at the end? He was. He didn't win any medals. He's never going to win any medals.
But that's not the point.
But he did everything that he possibly could. He said, "I'm doing this regardless," and that to me is, you know, is a champion.
And he's one of the few losers, if you want to use that word. He's one of the few that never amounted to anything that people still remember today.
Yeah,
because he had more skin in the game. He was more committed to that cause than anybody else at that Olympics, probably. He just didn't have all the talent and all the resources to go with it. Same with the bobsled team from Jamaica, right? I mean, they made a movie of that as well.
Yeah.
Nobody gave them a hair's chance of doing anything.
I don't know if it wasn't the same Olympics, wasn't it? I'm not even sure what. I think it was roundabout.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
The same era.
But the thing is, what about you? Think about that. What about you? Are you invested fully in an activity? Or are you sticking your toe in the water, poking it with your finger or a stick? You know? Do small contributions count? Well, of course they do. If you can get better every day, it's brilliant. That's fantastic. You know, nobody's expecting not everybody can be a champion, in other words. But you can be a champion in your own life.
Yes.
And that's far more important, you know.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Really. Because all you have is your own life. You don't have you're not living anyone else's life. You only have your own life. So that's all that matters, right? It's being a champion in your own life.
Yeah, maybe it's reaching the point of exhaustion and then finding that bit more to push on beyond yourself and what you thought was possible. You know, to me, that's brilliant. You know, and that's really all we're talking about at the end of the day. But there's too many sofa surfers, you know, which is fine because I do that sometimes. But you've got to make sure you don't do too much of that.
Yeah, not for extended periods of time, yeah.
That's right. And I always say my favourite is a commitment to completion. You start something, finish it. All right? I did the London Marathon, got injured halfway round. I was, in a position where I should have done it in 3 hours 20 because of the injury. Did it in 4 hours 56. But there was no way I wasn't going to finish, no matter how injured I was. You know, because I put 2 years into training. My skin in the game was the 2 years training. It wasn't the race.
And it reminds me of when I did that 12-hour event. Well, it took me 12 hours to complete. It was a 20-kilometer run, followed by a 40-kilometer cycle, followed by a 5-kilometer swim, followed by an 8-kilometer row, followed by 3 kilometers of climbing stairs. And this was outdoors and indoors. After the run was the first event. After 5 Ks of running, my knees started to give in already. My knees started to freeze up. But because I'd made a commitment to people in my team to do the race or to do the event, there was no ways I was going to stop it. In my mind, there was no ways I was going to stop unless my legs just did not come. I even did 5 Ks of swimming only with my arms. Okay. I completed it. It took me 12 hours to complete it, but it was because I'd made a commitment to people in my own team. So therefore I was fully committed. I had skin in the game. There was no giving up on that. But that's taking it to the extreme. But there was no life-threatening. Nothing was life-threatening about it for me. But this is just an example of, when you do it. I mean, when I look back on that, it was a hell of an accomplishment that I managed to finish that entire event, based on my physical circumstances. But that gave me a strong lesson, a very powerful lesson for the rest of my life. It really did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, look, we all need to get our teeth into something sometime. And as I say, we all need to become champions in our own life. But how many times have you shown determination? How many times could you be described as tenacious or showing grit? See, most people never do that. So let me ask you another question here. Are you ready for a new project. Okay, think about it really, really deeply. And if you are, get in contact with us. We'll give you some details. It may be for you, it may not be. All right, that's just the way it is. So, but what we're looking for are people who are open-minded, who are hungry, okay, and also coachable, prepared to listen. A lot of people are not prepared to listen. It's not going to work for you, you know. And having skin in the game. I remember spending £1,500 to get in a business, okay, which I thought was a tremendous amount, by the way, at that time, and that was 2006. And I realised I wasn't getting anywhere, and it took me 2 years to make any money. And but there's another bit to it as well. I knew that I had to have proper skin in the game. So I ended up investing a total of 22,485, right? And oh, don't get me wrong, I did make money, by the way. Okay, but what I'm saying is, it took me personal time to get going and get that skin in the game. It wasn't just about investing the money; it was about learning some skills. You know, so so the question is, what about you? Why would you consider doing something? Because it's something you can achieve, right? Why not? Why not do something? What else are you going to do with your time? Sit and watch box sets? I don't know. You know, we're having a bit of fun here with this.
If that helps you to grow and you're making
some box set, I suppose, but yeah,
you're creating some financial freedom for yourself as a result of that, then go for it. Yeah,
absolutely. You might be watching it to get ideas.
Yeah.
Okay. But why not you? Have you had enough? Where you're scraping by every month. Now we've all done that. In fact, we're not even got enough to scrape by every month. But I mean, what I'm saying is, it's not the thing now. But what I'm saying is, why not you? Why not try something? And I mean properly try, not just touch it and leave it. But why not you? And why not now? Why not now?
We were all destined for greatness. And greatness looks different and comes in many different forms and shapes and sizes and colors and whatever. But we were all destined for greatness, bottom line. We didn't come here to live average lives. That's not the purpose of coming here in this life. And so why not you, as Paul says? Why not? Why not me? Why not Paul? Why not any of you live out there watching, listening? If you haven't found a vehicle that perhaps helps you to get your bee in your bonnet, or get a bee in your bonnet, or something inspires you and motivates you and drives you, then start looking. As Paul said, we have an offer on the table. We have something that many people are open to looking at. And there's two different types of people in this world. There's those that couch surf and drink beer every day, I should say, because I do drink beer from time to time. I had a beer this Saturday, but Paul had a few. But there's two types of people in the world. There's those that sit and watch the world go by and then complain because nothing ever happened to them, and they never reached that greatness. And people complain. Why? Because we know instinctively within ourselves, deep within ourselves, we know we are here for more than what we are doing in our lives today. And that goes for me too. We all know this instinctively. So that's why we complain if we don't. And then there's those people that see the opportunity and they go with it. Sometimes they need a little bit of time to assess the situation and see, is this going to be dangerous for me? Is this going to be life-threatening for me? Or do they just go with the flow? If you look back in the days of yore, when we were living in caves, hunting mammoths and all those kind of things, who were the ones that became the champions of the tribe? Who were the ones that became the tribe leader? They were the ones that didn't ask questions when that mammoth came running past. They just jumped in front of the mammoth, they put their spear there, and they waited for the mammoth to run onto the spear. Because they knew that the moment they killed that spear, killed that mammoth, they were going to be king. They were going to feed their clan for for weeks, and they would be held in high regard. Life is very different to those days, but still, we have threats in our lives today, and very often those threats are not within our own control. So we've got to take control of our situation and be brave enough to be counted. As I said, so there's two people: those that sit on the couch and complain, and those that get off the couch and they go with what they see as an opportunity for themselves, regardless of whether they are 100% sure it's going to work or not. You're never 100% sure.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. So if that does pique your interest, then please get in touch. You can just leave a comment on here, and then we'll speak to you privately. But if not, if you're happy with your lot in life, that's great. That's fine. No problem at all. And I
wish you all the best with it.
Yeah. So with that, I think we're going to call it a day, and we'll allow Warren to chill out for a little while. Recover. So, and it wasn't alcohol. He's got a cold. So.
Yeah, nothing to do.
I just wanted to get it in because you mentioned beer. So
yeah. I had one dark beer, and that for me is enough.
I had a few more than that Friday, but I was with people I hadn't seen for 50 years. So, okay, with that, we're going to go. Have a fantastic week, everyone. And if you feel like listen to us again, we're at healthierlife.tv on Wednesday, 11 o'clock London time, 12 midday Central European time. And yes, we'll be speaking about something very interesting. Not that we know what it is at the moment.
Healthierlife.tv.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Yeah. So from successcafe.tv, have a great week, as we said, and we'll speak again soon.
Bye-bye now.
See ya.